Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last QHHT Hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript of the session, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm speaking to my practitioner who's asking me questions I prepared in advance of the session. And when I refer to me, I'm speaking to myself under hypnosis, which means the answers are coming from the 25th. Without further ado, I'm going to start reading here. And actually, we are in the section of the session that deals with dreams and dreams that I've had or dreams that you guys may have sent in. In this case, it is a dream that I had. And I know many of you enjoy dream interpretation. I do too, just because it is a very easy way for me to get information. And oftentimes I'm able to interpret these things, but there are times when I don't know all the details to something. And it's always fascinating for me to hear what the 25th has to say. So here we are. And this first dream, this first question deals with the second part of a dream that we started discussing in the last video. So if you have not watched the last video, you might want to check that first part of the dream out. And here we go. This is the second part. Lorrayne is reading the question in the first person, the way that I wrote it. I woke up at this point thinking the dream was over, but when I went back to sleep, I saw myself traveling away with my daughter, and we stopped in a hotel along the way. I was helping her get ready to take a shower or something, and she was being loud as usual, so I told her to lower her voice so nobody would think there was something wrong going on. But it was too late, and a woman banged on the door and came in. She thought I was abusing my child, and I didn't have time to explain because she was being pretty aggressive, and I needed to go. So I put her to sleep with a move to her neck. I laid her down on a bed and then dealt with another woman who also showed up to inquire. Then I told my daughter to wait while I took the second woman back to her room. But by the time I was done locking up her room so everything would be in order if anyone saw anything, I came back to my room and discovered that both my daughter and the first woman had been taken. I knew this was a high-level criminal group that was targeting me, but I had no doubt I would find them, and I was not afraid. I went outside and found a small object that belonged to my daughter, then another after a few yards, and realized that they wanted me to follow the crumbs to her. I knew this was a trap, so I decided to call the top guys at the FBI. But first, I wanted to let my boyfriend know I was going to do that. He was in town, so I decided to call him to let him know, but I had no telephone. So I asked a painter I saw on the street if I could use his and paid him a lot of money, like $100, to use his phone, even though it was a free local call for him. I knew my boyfriend's number by heart. I got on the phone and told him I'm calling them in, which was a momentous decision, almost as if I was going back to the old ways. And I was definitely aware of the power of our organization. And in the previous dream, I was actually working for the FBI before leaving it. And so this is what I was referring to here, that I would call in the FBI, whatever was left of the FBI. Those criminals had messed with the wrong person and had no chance to get themselves out of the situation now. Then I found myself in a small village with a guy I knew who must have been one of my old colleagues. A huge statue appeared outside his house. I told him not to move it, but he did, which was a mistake because he was enchanted. I knew something would happen. I started walking through the village to look for the statue, which had now disappeared. And there were small shops with Asian people selling things. There were also what I thought were Thai temples made out of trees that had been sculpted into columns holding up roofs made of tree branches. It all seemed very organic, as if one with nature. I was thinking about this type of architecture, how grand it was, even though there was really no need for it. Then the dream ended. And my comment to this was, is this because I've been thinking that even though we have rebalanced the polarity, we are still living in the remnants of the old dark systems? So we can't really just have a life we love and continue to bring up low vibe stuff because of the framework still in place? So here's the answer from the 25th. Yes, absolutely. So there are two parts to this dream. And basically the first part deals with Clea being pulled back into 3D. And the way she sees it in the dream is because of her daughter. Her daughter is very much still living and believing in 3D. That's the experience she wants to have, which Clea is very grateful for. So her daughter is not dealing with the same awareness that Clea is dealing with, and that she doesn't really wish on her daughter. And so now, because of her daughter, she's being again pulled back into 3D. She has to deal with 3D stuff, the same way that in real life, real quote unquote life, Clea brings her daughter to school, has to deal with camp, all these things, which keeps her distracted. Same way in the dream, she's dealing with her daughter being loud, and all of a sudden these people think certain things, and now she's going to deal with them. And then this gang comes in, this criminal group kidnaps her daughter, and now she's got to deal with that. So again, she's being pulled back into 3D. And while it looks like this is being done against her wishes, this is the shell that we are keeping in place. In fact, she's going to the old system, to the FBI, saying, I'm calling them in. She's saying, I'm going to call them in and we're going to nip this in the bud. So it's the shell we want to keep up, right? Where everything looks normal. Even though we just said the FBI was dead, really, but she can still use it for her own purposes. This is what we're doing. We're using the shell for our own purposes. So we're still dealing with it. We're still using it when we need it. At the same time, though, so the part about the organic place has to do with new earth, right? So now she finds herself, this is the meaning of the statue. The statue is magic. Things don't quite work the way that we expect reality to work here. And so now we are in this place. And of course, architectural also looks very different, looks very grand. And she's thinking, it doesn't have to look this way. What's the need for this? And that's exactly what's going to happen on your earth. And we were talking about it a little bit in the Telegram group the other day when we said, oh, we're going to make things look like they did here. And you are correct, because we are going to make a lot of things look just like they look here. But we can also, we're going to be doing so many things that we would have never allowed ourselves to do here. It will get to a point where, we don't have to have a mansion. We might go crazy and have mansions and castles, or who knows, for a couple of years. So for the first few years, and all of a sudden we're all going to end up, we showed Clea and we shared with you in an initial message during one of these sessions where she saw the housing we're going to end up with, which is going to look like almost like bubbles, half bubbles on the ground. They're going to be round houses, translucent, and they're not going to look gigantic. But of course, it's because inside you have access to the entire multiverse. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like on the outside. Space doesn't work the same way. And so eventually we're going to want to feel like we're living in a very natural environment and just close to each other, not be isolated by a lot of land or anything like that, even though we have instant transport. And so it wouldn't even matter, but we just don't want to feel that way. We want to feel like we're close to each other, physically close, like I can walk to your house kind of thing. And so that's what this last part had to do with, because we had been talking about, Clea has been thinking about the architecture that we'll have and what New Earth is going to look like physically in terms of how we want to set up our community. But yeah, basically she's feeling like she's in between, right? Where she's still dealing with 3D, especially because of her daughter. She wants her daughter to have a 3D experience and what is actually what we're moving towards. And you see, even the dark, right? In the end, it's all a shell. It's all a game. It's all fake. Well, the dark is taking her daughter, and now Clea has to jump back into the game. But she already knows, I've got this. I'm in charge of this. Nothing bad is going to happen. I'm going to call in my guys, and they don't know who they're messing with. Because, of course, we are in charge. Nobody else is setting up anything. And so our reality can never go against what we want. So, of course, Clea had no doubt in the dream that she would take care of this and that she would get her daughter back. It was a very happening dream. We'll just leave it at that. Lorrayne, thank you. Okay, next dream from the 22nd of July. Clea says, I was with this friend of mine in a mall in Thailand. She was getting out of her luxury retail shop business and wanted to invest in real estate. And I was thinking, yeah, that's what I do, but what real estate is she going to find here? Then I left, but I was by myself trying to find a ride home. I was wondering why I hadn't left sooner. So now I had to make sure nothing bad happened to me since I was going to be alone in a cab and anything could happen. I didn't even know how to get to my house and it was far. So I really had to hope and pray that the driver wasn't going to do anything wrong with me. But then I saw a kid who said he wanted to share a ride with me since he was going in the same direction. We got on this tractor trailer and there were 3 people on it who were the operators. They went from one end of the building to the other end. And for some reason, they felt bad for me and said that they would take a small fee for that small distance instead of all my money, which is what they usually did. But they also gave me advice to avoid bad experiences in the future by saying you need to sit patiently on the sidewalk and wait for a driver to approach you. You were walking fast and in a haze. And so that's why we took you on. It's like you looked distracted and you were asking to be taken advantage of. In the next scene, I was back in the mall and I was trying to leave, but this girl wanted to swim with the dolphins before she left. I didn't want to leave by myself, so I told her we would look for the dolphins together, but we couldn't find them and I was getting impatient. We went looking in different parts of the mall and they were nowhere, but finally I saw a pool and I said, they are here. I jumped in the water and waited for them to come out so the girl could finally swim with them and we could leave. I was so uncomfortable being in the water and I didn't want to swim with dolphins. I was doing something I didn't want to do. Me. So again, it has to do with what we were discussing earlier, Lorrayne, where Clea was saying, I've learned, since it's a matter of alignment, I learned certain things in this life, including the fact that I shouldn't be doing things out of duty, out of self-sacrifice. But then it feels like that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're sacrificing. And so, let's go over the dream. Basically, the part about the tractor trailer and the gist of that part of the dream was that, again, impatience. Impatience is boring in our experience. Does it mean that it's wrong? It isn't. We want to say this again. We know what you guys like to do. You like to beat yourselves up saying, oh, I should be more like this. I should be more like that. We hope that many of you right now are over this. There is no wrong way to be doing this. At the same time, the reason the dream came up is because Clea has been very emotional, very frustrated, very resentful even, in terms of still being here and feeling trapped and stuck, whatever words that she normally uses when she thinks of this situation. And her higher self is basically almost reaching across the divide, right? To bring to her conscious attention through her dreams, to let her know, hey, you know what? It's much easier if we just calm down, because otherwise you're going to have a bad experience, which in the dream translates to you're going to be taken, you're going to be kidnapped. Who knows what's going to happen? Because you look like you're in a haze. You look like you don't even know. You're so into your mindset. You don't even know what's going on. Whereas if you just sat and chilled and relaxed, you get a safe ride home and nothing would happen. And so this is something that Clea, of course, is working on. It also resembles a little bit what Carolyn said about we have to be more patient. Now, not have to be, because again, nobody has to do anything, but it would be helpful if we were more patient, helpful to us, just beneficial to us. We wouldn't be suffering nearly as much. That's the bottom line, at least consciously. Now, in terms of the second part, again, doing something against our will, that really is very much how Clea feels about what is going on. However, we did explain to you today, earlier in the session, that there is a benefit, there is a point. We're not just doing this for others. And in the dream, it actually came across. She was waiting for this person, even though she didn't want to, because she didn't want to go home by herself. So there was a benefit at the end of the day that she was going to get from going home with this person. And because of that benefit, she said, fine, I will delay my departure. I will help you do this, even though I hate it. I wish we could just leave now, which is exactly what we're going through. But this is what we explained earlier, which is there is a benefit to us to go into New Earth together. We're not just doing this because, we like to think, oh, we're so nice. Or we decided we're going to do this. So now we're stuck with that decision that, we just want to reverse now because we didn't realize it was going to feel this way. No, we still want to. We realize we don't like it. We realize we don't want to do it. We realize we wish these other people would just, why do you have to swim with the dolphins? Who cares? Let's go. But at the same time, this is what the person wants to do. So I only have two choices. Either I'm leaving by myself, which I don't want to do, or let me help you find the dolphins faster. So maybe we can speed this up. And this is really what we're doing. We talked about this in the last session as well. This is the whole point of these videos, for example. And we said from the beginning, there was no need for this. The information was going to be available anyway. However, what these videos have done, they've given us the opportunity to create a community and to do this project consciously. And because of this, we've actually accelerated things. because we were able to talk about these things among ourselves and, of course, leverage each other, even from a conscious perspective. So there has been a great benefit from the Telegram group, for example, from this channel, from the community that's been built on this channel. And this is exactly what's going on. We have basically, and we say Clea because this is Clea's dream, and this is what she has been doing. But it obviously, by now, we hope it's clear that it's never just one person doing something. But basically what's happening is that Clea is saying, just like in the dream that she had about the ship that was sinking, and there were people, and she was saying, let's get off the ship. And people were saying, oh, but I got to go back to my room to get this one thing. And she goes, why? It doesn't matter. The ship is sinking. And how important could this thing be that we're willing to risk our lives now? I mean, this is a pretty big emergency. The ship is sinking. But then she goes, okay, fine. If you're going to go back to your room, I'll go with you to make sure that you're safe, to make sure, we speed it up. I can look with you, so maybe we find it faster. And this is what is happening. Again, it's coming up just in a different guise in this dream, where she's saying, okay, well, let's work together so we can at least expedite getting out of here. And this is what's happening. By us connecting in this conscious manner, this is what we're doing. We're expediting each other's experience. So we're helping each other find the missing sweater. We're helping each other find the dolphins faster. So, okay, we get on with it. Swim with the dolphins, done, we're out of here. That's what's happening. So while it feels very long here, and we are very impatient, which obviously keeps coming up as a theme, both in dream state and in a conscious state, we are moving faster because we are connecting with each other. And of course, we're always connected with each other. There is only one. But even this conscious connection with each other and the fact that we go through things, we compare notes and we share, definitely helps many people. As you can see just from the group, how many times we've had comments saying, oh, that helped me, that helps me, that helped me. I had a similar dream, I had a similar emotion, and so on. So we know that this is a fact. And in terms of what Clea keeps asking, which is, I thought I knew better. I don't want to sacrifice myself anymore. We'll say one more time, you're not sacrificing. You don't like it, but you're also doing it for yourself, not just for each other. You're also looking forward to the benefit. There is a benefit from going with this other person. And it's unfortunate that she needs to see the dolphins before she leaves, but you're willing to wait for that reason because you do want to leave with her, which is better than leaving without her. That's what's happening. So this resentment that Clea has had, again, it is unfortunate that it's taking us longer amounts of time, but it could be much longer, and it's not going to be. And we don't mean it like we know how long it's going to take, but we are saying if we weren't interacting together, it could be even longer. So we are doing everything we can to get out of here as soon as possible. All of us are doing this work, even the people who are resisting and who still want to complete certain things. Lorrayne, I'm tired of acquiescing, but I do see that there are benefits at times. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you, as always, for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.